welcome you to Alaska Airlines Arena in Seattle, Washington for a matchup of two of the top 5 volleyball teams in the nation. Number 3, USC, takes on number 5, Washington. Happy to have you with us, everyone. Tracy Warren along with Kelly Tennant. And Kelly, both of these teams NCAA tournament teams last year. Of course, USC making it to the Final Four, but this week, one team on a big high and one team on a low.
Washington able to pull off a very nice upset here on their home court against UCLA in 5 sets. They kept UCLA's outside hitter to hitting under 200 in that entire match. And then SC coming off of what Coach Haley calls the Oregon fiasco, losing in 3 sets. So they're coming back for a vengeance now.
And USC has some big shoes to fill from that Final Four team last year. They are led by a senior, 6'2", Katie Fuller.
Katie Fuller has been so good for USC this year because she's steadily improved every year. She's done what Coach Haley has wanted, but she's second on the team in swings, but leading in kills and percentage. She's carrying a lot as a senior with a young setter and a very young freshman outside hitter. And then on the other side of the net, Krista Van Sant, a sophomore outside hitter, getting twice as many sets as anyone else on the court. Only had 5 errors on 58 swings in that win against UCLA. So I'm wondering if she's going to pull that off tonight as well.
Well, Jim McLaughlin calls her a future Olympian. We shall see. It is a matchup between two top 5 teams in the nation. Number 3, USC, taking on number 5, Washington. We'll have starting lineups when we come back.
Friends, football, and Coors Light. Now that's a reason to celebrate. And this fall, Coors Light wants to give you another reason to celebrate, giving you and 3 of your buddies a chance to go to the college football game of your choice. You'll see every pass, every fumble, every touchdown, live and in person. Now that's an ice-cold celebration. Brought to you by Coors Light, the game's most refreshing beer.
Here's some rules for your backyard. Rule number 1, airsoft in the backyard? What a mess. Rule number 2, paintball? Even worse. Rule number 3, use Blaster Pro Auto Fire or Blaster Pro Pump Action. Rule number 4, come well equipped, so you can shoot like a sniper or pummel them until they tap out. Reload and pummel them again. And again. Rule number 5, and this one is important, drink lots of lemonade.
Lemonade, anyone?
Rule number 6, chicks dig in. Blaster Pro.
Saturday, it's a huge Pac-12 doubleheader. At 3, UCLA storms into Boulder to take on Colorado. The Bruins are ready to rebound, and the Buffaloes want to make it 2 in a row. Then at 7, 18th-ranked Oregon State heads into the desert to face Arizona. The Beavers are on a roll, and the Wildcats want to claw their way back into the top 25. Pre-game coverage begins at 2, Saturday only on Pac-12 Networks.
You're watching Pac-12 Networks.
Welcome back to Seattle, Washington, as we get ready for a great matchup between number 3 USC and number 5 Washington. For tonight's starters, let's have the teams introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Katie Fuller, starting opposite for USC, and starting on the outside tonight is Samantha Bricio and Sarah Shaw.
Hi, I'm Natalie Haglund, starting libero for USC. And our middle hitters tonight are Alexis Olgard and Natasha Silkovich. Our setter tonight is Haley Crone.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Nogueras, and I am the starting setter for the University of Washington Huskies. Today on our starting lineup, we have Amanda Gill as a middle blocker, and also Kelsey Dunaway. For our outside hitters, we have Krista Van Sant and Cassie Strickland. On the right side, we have Kaylee Nelson, and as a libero, today starting Jenna Orlandini.
And our head coach for the University of Washington, Jim McLaughlin, in his 12th season with a record of 281 and 77. And for USC, the women of Troy, Mick Haley, also in his 12th season. He is 3 wins away from 300, last year's Coach of the Year. And USC won the coin toss, but they had elected to receive. And Washington with the point. That ball is out.
Don't expect to see too many errors out of Katie Fuller, though. She gets on a run and she keeps that ball in play.
Serving for Washington, Cassie Strickland with the jump serve. And an unforced error. Of course, Mick Haley told us we didn't come out quickly against Oregon. That was our downfall. They attacked us and they got on their heels. Serving for USC. Nogaris, there's the set, and there's Van Sant.
All night long out of Krista Van Sant, down the line, cross court, hard on that line. USC has to be ready with their defense on the entire court to pick those balls up.
Jenna Orlandini will do the serving for the Washington Huskies. Back set for USC, and USC goes on the attack. That's Katie Fuller.
That's where USC feels most comfortable. You get a good pass to their setter, Haley Crone, number 4, put it back to Katie Fuller on the right side, and just let her do her thing.
Natalie Hagelin doing the serving for USC. Jim McLaughlin said in practice today, we have to stick with what we do well for Washington and go attack them right away. There is Van Sant. Crone with the set. Good defense by Washington, and that is long. Check tip ball, point Washington.
You see a lot of unforced errors on both sides of the court right now. Both of these teams just really trying to feel themselves out and get in a rhythm. Two top teams. You won't see these errors later on in the match.
Kylan Munoz doing the serving for the University of Washington with the jump serve. Point Washington.
Not the best Washington block. They did a great job of being there, but USC helped them a lot with the lower set, and you saw Samantha Brizio go low into that. If she can swing a little higher, that will help her.
Mick Haley notorious for having very disciplined teams and very emphatic. There is Munoz again with the jump serve for the University of Washington. Crone with the back sets. Blocks. And Washington coming out fired up in the early going.
I watched Washington play UCLA on Wednesday, and I was so impressed with Krista Van Sant and her blocking. You see the way she moves. She gets all the way out to that pin with her feet, and then with the swing block, swings her arms and presses so well. She did that all night long against UCLA. I expect her to do the same kind of thing tonight.
And Van Sant, of course, had that 31 kills, 11 digs, her 4th double-double of the year. Ace for Washington. Munoz has USC on their heels early.
Coach Haley knew that they had to start strong. This is a very difficult arena to play in, so you need to kind of get on a roll and get some momentum to be able to challenge Washington at home.
Yeah, there was no hiding. He was not happy about the performance against Oregon and said really it is how we bounce back from this that's going to be telling. Good dump by USC. Setting up Van Sant. That's out of bounds. Washington points. So now Washington on a 5-0 run here in the first set.
Very important for Katie Fuller and Alexis Olgard for USC to press to the middle of the court so that they can get that ball inside the court.
Well, we've got a break in the action, but Washington Huskies are controlling their own. They lead USC 7-2.
It gives you a tremendous sense of pride to own your own business.
We sell ourselves, we sell our name, we sell our image. We want that image to stick.
I'm always introducing myself. I'm always handing out cards.
Vistaprint allows business owners to more effectively and affordably promote their business.
The fact that we use Vistaprint to put our name out in the community in everything that we do just goes to show the level of confidence that we have in Vistaprint.
The easy-to-use tools and templates at Vistaprint.com make it simple to look professional and coordinate your marketing across everything from business cards to websites to postcards and more. See how easy with 250 of our most popular cards, Now new, improved, and still only $10.
250 cards, you can leave a lot of impressions with that.
I have about 20 to 50 business cards on me at any time.
Visit Vistaprint.com, and as an introductory offer, we'll cover the shipping for free.
I'm not sure there is much else you can do for $10 from a marketing standpoint.
Vistaprint.com.
You're watching Pac-12 Networks.
Number 5, Washington with the early lead over USC, 7-2. And these two teams, a storied history. USC has won the last 3 matches and leads the series 37-18. But Washington has held serve, so to speak, winning 6 of the last 7 in Seattle. Munoz with the serving, but that goes the way of USC.
Tracy, I'm telling you, as a player, it's almost like you feel like you're being engulfed by the fans in this arena. I don't know what it is about playing in Seattle. It's tough, though.
Katie Fuller, the 6'2 senior at a La Costa Canyon High School, matched a career high with 21 kills against UCLA in USC's win, and Washington going on the attack.
A great swing from the right side, and that USC block was pretty solid at the net, as you see in this replay. They get back, press over, great timing, but Van Sant able to go over them into that corner.
Van Sant gets great altitude, as Jim McLaughlin has commented on. There's the set. And USC is trying to get back on their heels after that timeout.
With both teams having such big outside hitters, it's so important to get the middles involved. And this Haley Crone, Alexis Olgard duo is very good. They just have to make sure they do that same thing every time, very quick in the middle.
Bricio with the serve. Washington, there is Van Sant. And that is in for USC. Sarah Shaw getting in.
It's important for Sarah Shaw to take some more swings on the outside. She needs to take some load off of Katie Fuller when she's in the front row and not force her to take all those big swings.
The freshman Bricio with the serve for USC. Bricio again. Bricio seeing a lot of action. They like Bricio as a freshman. Really calling on her to do a lot of work. Blocked by USC, and USC point. So now USC starting to close that gap. It's an 8-6 game. And Samantha Bricio, the 6'2 freshman out of Guadalajara, Mexico, was the youngest player ever to play for Mexico's senior national team as a 16-year-old. Great reactions by Washington, but it's long, point USC. 8-7 now for the women of Troy making their run.
Kaylee Nelson taking some nice swings on that right side. I like the idea of hitting that high flat hit for her because she's getting those touches on the block. That's important. That expands the court for you. You don't have to hit down into the court. You can use those hands for kills.
We were talking with Mick Haley during today's practice, and we said, why have you been so successful? You've played for him.
Yes.
You kind of have an idea of what goes through his mind, and he's very methodical. He believes if he stays with fundamentals and basics, that's going to get him there in the end, and let the Oregons and the Washingtons perhaps get out quickly and then burn themselves out.
Yeah, Mick Haley is definitely a man on a mission, as are all of these coaches, but he's so focused on the fundamentals, like you said, and he's very technical. He comes from a USA volleyball background and coaching the Olympic team, and he's brought all of that teaching to USC. So as players, that's what you learn. You learn the very intense techniques, and there is a method to every practice and all of the different things that you're learning, whether it's in film or walkthroughs. We saw the team looking at their walkthrough sheets. They know exactly what to expect when they go and play this team, no matter what rotation they're in or who's at the front, the back, whatever's going on, they know what's happening.
Yeah, it's like a final exam almost. You're cramming for it, but you see the great accolades for Mick Haley in his 12th year at the helm of USC. They come in with a record of 13-1, coming off that loss to Oregon, and he says, we are going to learn from that, and it's going to tell about the character of the women of Troy. USC enjoying a 4-0 run. Bricio again with the serve. Great net play and an aggressive Washington. Nelson at the net along with Dunaway.
I like seeing Washington use that back row attack. Krista Van Sant is so good in the front row, but she's also so good in the back because of the way she attacks. It's almost like she's hitting out of the front row because she's so high and on top of that ball.
Kelsey Dunaway now will serve for the University of Washington. And there goes USC again back on the attack. That's Alexis Olgard. 9-8, Washington leading USC. This is the first set between these two teams. Erin Yoder now set to serve with the jump serve for the women of Troy. And almost a miss-hit, unforced error. It looked like Amanda Gill was almost tripped up there for Washington.
Just a little bit of a miscommunication, but that happens between setters and middles because it's such a fast hit in the offense that you really have to talk a lot. And just one little slight error, even just a half-second off, and it really messes with you.
Yoder again on the serve, the 5'8" senior out of San Clemente, California. And USC being powerful at the net, the double block. Sarah Shaw in on it.
Natasha Shilkovich does a great job of putting her hands over. Her feet are not there, but she uses her arms and presses and reaches as much as possible.
Just tries to get USC on their heels, and she does.
Golden, that's the spot to go. That's a great way to test USC and to show them, I'm going to go there. If you're not going to pick it up, then I'm going to go there. And now she has that opening. Now USC, with their defense, has to be ready to pick up the ball in the middle, and they have to be ready for a big swing out of inside.
Katie Beals on the serve for the University of Washington. Another unforced error by USC. Yeah, Jim McLaughlin was saying in practice, watch the gaps, shoot the gaps, find the vulnerabilities for the women of Troy and attack.
The more you can make a team work, the better off you are. Make them run around and guess and try and figure out what you're doing. That's how you become successful.
Big spike by Sarah Shaw. Just off the hands of USC. Washington on the attack, point Washington. So 12-10 now. Mick Haley's team finds himself on their heels here in the first set. Katie Beals, the 5'11" freshman setter out of Austin, Texas. Shaw.
And Coach McLaughlin telling us over the last 2 weeks how important the improvement of the setting for their program has been. And Katie Beals is an intricate part of that improvement. Just a freshman, but had a great high school career and comes in with a lot of success and a lot of experience.
Again, looking for those vulnerabilities for USC. That ball is in. And Sarah Shaw will get the point. They're going to give it to USC, so Haley Crone will now serve for the women of Troy. The sophomore out of Temecula, California. Error for USC. It seems like a lot of early unforced errors by the women of Troy.
It's lack of focus, and you see a lot of the young players making those errors, and that's what you expect out of a young player. They get a little more nervous. They're not as consistent. As they get older and mature, they're not making those same mistakes.
Of course, USC graduated National Player of the Year Alex Jupiter, Pac-12 Setter of the Year Kendall Bateman, and All-American blocker Lauren Williams. So those are some big shoes to fill for USC. And that's in. So sometimes it just falls your way. USC now with a 14-13 lead against Washington.
It's just a matter of getting on a little run here. They just need a few points to feel good and get some momentum. Those kinds of errors, though, can't happen in such a tight match.
Service error for Sarah Shaw.
And you see Kendall Bateman on the screen, the setter that you were talking about, coming back to be a grad assistant this year. And she told us earlier she wants to go play in Puerto Rico, so that'd be a neat adventure for her, I'm sure.
Yeah, and what a personable, you know, the two-time All-American setter at USC. She says, I want to play in Puerto Rico, kind of enjoy myself, because there are options in volleyball. You can play internationally.
Yeah, I think that that's a great thing for her to do. You only get to play so long after you're done playing in college. Your lifespan in volleyball is not forever, so take advantage while you're young. And so many of these players get to travel the world playing volleyball. Why not do it? I'm jealous.
You're traveling the U.S. calling volleyball.
Yes, it works.
We are tied at 15, a battle between number 3 USC and number 5 Washington. Washington with the serve, that's Munoz. And another error by USC, point Washington.
Washington puts so much pressure on their opponents with their serve, and they side out at a much higher percentage than their opponents. That's what really helps them. They have control with the serve, and when they're on serve receive, how do you beat a team like that? It's very difficult.
Number 1 in service aces for the Pac-12 is Washington, and almost on cue, Kylan Munoz.
Such a nice jump float serve, and the best float serves are the ones that move the most, and that one moved and then dropped right on that line. Samantha Brizio needs to take a step to her left and be ready to get those, even though it's moving a lot.
In volleyball, if the ball is on the line, it is in, and that was a prior point for Washington. There, USC comes back with a vengeance, so 17-16 now in the first set.
Alexis Olgard now with 3 kills, hitting 750. That's big for USC's offense to have her involved so much. Tied as well with Sarah Shaw and Katie Fuller, 3 kills apiece.
Olgard from Spokane, Washington. She's got family in the area. Washington responding. Strickland back. That's Olgard.
Cassie Strickland, number 8 for Washington, has been quite good in the front row, and her defense and those touches that she's getting on those quick attacks out of the middle are key. Once she gets those touches, then she's going to start grabbing them and throwing them and getting some nice digs out of it.
Fuller with the serve, but point USC. So right now, USC feeling a little momentum, 18-17 over Washington. USC with the back set, and the attack, that's Brizio, but point for Washington.
USC saying that that ball went into the antenna off the Washington block, not off of Samantha Brizio's hit, but regardless, that set can be more inside so that she's not falling to her left when she's hitting into that antenna. She needs to be hitting into the court.
Former high school player of the year, Van Sant with the serve for Washington, and on the attack again is Brizio. They love her firepower, does Mick Haley.
She's so strong. She does not look like a freshman. She has so much experience, and like you said, when you play at a high level at juniors and you bring that to the college game, it just changes the dynamic of your presence.
10 of 14 matches, Brizio has had double-figure kills, and how is that for freshman play as Washington tries to solve now USC, who's leading 19-18. Back row attack, but unsuccessful, rejected, and Washington wins the point to tie it at 19.
Kelsey Dunaway rock solid at the net. Every time it seems like she's getting her feet there and her timing is just right.
Dunaway now with the serve, and McLaughlin was telling his players it is about body control. It's verticality, don't float. Point Washington.
USC knew coming into this how strong Amanda Gill is as a blocker. Every time she's closing up that block, you see her close up to Kaylee Nelson. Those are some big hands up there, a big wall that USC is trying to fight against.
Big hands for a big player, 6'6", transfer from UCLA. What a remarkable story she is, and we'll get to that. Point USC. 20-20 now as Dunaway comes out of the set, and USC will serve. Erin Yoder on the service. USC 7th in serves for the Pac-12. Point USC.
A much-needed kill from Katie Fuller, now with 5 kills, 3 airs hitting 200. It looks like Washington is doing to Katie Fuller what they did to Rachel Kidder for UCLA on Wednesday, and really containing the big hitter and making everyone else work.
USC trying to close it out. They lead 21-20, but Washington responds right away. Nogueras got a handle on it, but again, you look at Amanda Gill on that front line and you're like, wow, how do I get over 6'6" and somebody who's got a lot of mobility given where she's been?
Exactly. She's moving really well considering she's not even at 100% right now. I'm pretty impressed. I'm scared to see what she's like in November.
Going from the right side, that's Munoz. Point Washington, who now has a 22-21 lead. And Mick Haley wants a timeout.
And notice Washington isn't doing anything spectacular, really. They're keeping the ball in play. No one's going up and hitting full speed yet. We haven't seen major hits. They're keeping it in play and making USC move. They're going past the block, over it. They're tipping. They're using a lot of different parts of the offense.
Coming up at 8 p.m. on the Pac-12 Network, more live women's volleyball as Utah visits number 2 Oregon in Eugene. Utah, of course, they've got Morgan O'Dowd, 4.29 kill percent in the first week of conference play. And the Oregon Ducks, that's the best ranking ever for the program. Lauren Plum, ABCA National Player of the Week. You've seen Oregon.
I have.
What do you think?
They are good. They are solid, and they jump from number 8 to number 2, the biggest leap that we've seen so far. But Lauren Plum and their right side hitter, Elena Bergsma, who is a 5th-year senior for Oregon, such a great duo. They stay consistent. They keep things pretty simple. But when you watch Lauren Plum as a setter, she is one of the most athletic setters I have ever seen. And it's funny because you talk to their coach, Jim Moore, and I ask him what he thinks is so great. He laughs and he says, it's not always very technically sound, but she gets the ball exactly where I want it to go. And that's what you need.
What does Mick Haley have to do out of this timeout to regain the lead?
They need to improve on their side-out percentage. They really need to get better passing. If you improve the passing, you improve the digging. That opens up your offense. Without that, you have nothing.
Katie Beals will do the serving for the University of Washington, trying to hold on to their lead. It is the first to 25, and Washington with a big block by Amanda Gill.
The other thing you have to do is keep the ball away from Amanda Gill.
Was an All-American at UCLA as a sophomore. And Washington 1 point away from a first set win. They feel the momentum, the dog pound on their feet. Beals will try to finish it out. USC keeps it alive. And USC wins the point and stops the 4-0 Washington run. That, of course, is Katie Fuller.
Haley Crone, the setter for USC, now serving, doing the best of her ability to get the ball back to Katie Fuller and away from Amanda Gill.
Crone with that big jump serve. And USC comes up with the point, 24-23 Washington. And Crone will continue with the serve. Check this, Jim McLaughlin now wants to talk with the Huskies and strategize as USC quickly regains some points.
Smart move, because you are now taking a timeout with a sophomore setter serving. It's a lot of pressure on her to come out of this timeout and serve. That's when you see the most errors on serving, is out of timeouts, and these extreme pressure situations are tough.
Mental focus.
Yes.
It's what Mick Haley talked to us about as he sees his team evolve throughout September. What is that mental focus like when you play for him?
It's tough because Mick has very high standards and expectations, and so, I look at Mick Haley and I relate him to Jim McLaughlin a lot. They both have these standards and expectations for their players to not make the errors, but to steadily improve. If you are making errors, you better be improving, you better be learning from them. As long as you're learning, then you're fine. But, they have these ideas of where they want you to be come October 1st, come November 1st, and when you're not meeting that criteria, they're going to come down hard on you, but it's for your best.
Washington, of course, last year lost to Minnesota in the NCAA tournament. They went 24-8, fourth in the Pac-10. McLaughlin, of course, has bought Washington a national championship in 2005. So revered in Seattle and throughout the nation in women's volleyball circles. USC, Haley Crone with the serve, 24-23, first set. Washington, first set Washington, and they take a little heat off and they place it well and they get USC on their heels.
They take heat off and put way more heat on.
Well said, the dog pounds liking the heat and Washington's liking the first set. They win 25-23.
I was 36, wanted to do something that was boldly different. We sold our house, drove west with the idea that we were going to be in the wine industry. We lived in a teepee for 2 months.
If you're going to do something, why not do it with your whole heart?
It's that creative outlet of being able to make something and make something that comes from the land. Bank of the West said, we have complete faith in your brand. Don't do anything to compromise it. Banks don't say things like that.
These days, there are so many ways to advertise your business. How can you choose? One of the most effective options is right here, because TV advertising works. Choose to air your commercial locally in television's most popular shows. Choose who sees it based on the type of customer you want and where they live. Choose to put your ad on the screen everyone's watching. Choose television. For more information about marketing your business locally, visit ComcastSpotlight.com/Seattle.
Mesothelioma victims and their loved ones may be entitled to a cash award from the $18 billion in asbestos trust funds. Even if a loved one had mesothelioma or asbestos lung cancer and has passed, your family may still be entitled to a cash award. Call now to see if you qualify. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with mesothelioma or lung cancer caused by exposure to asbestos,
call 1-800-948-5177 now.
We asked over 3,000 doctors to review 5-Hour Energy, and what they said is amazing. Over 73% who reviewed 5-Hour Energy said they would recommend a low-calorie energy supplement to their healthy patients who use energy supplements. 73%. 5-Hour Energy has 4 calories and is used over 9 million times a week. Is 5-Hour Energy right for you? Ask your doctor. We already asked 3,000.
Washington takes the first set 25-23. And when you look at the statistics, it's almost like USC came out ahead, but Washington prevailed.
Yeah, looking at this at first, I thought it was wrong because SC looked very uncomfortable that entire match. They weren't solid. Washington coming out behind Krista Van Sant. She was so good. Front row, back row. She's taking the big swings and she's mixing it up. Washington is forcing USC to work hard with their block and the defense surrounding, and she's really taking advantage of those one-on-one opportunities. And when it's not a perfect set, you see her going and tip like that right in the middle of the court. That's making USC have to run and pick up balls and work a lot harder than I think they want to at this point.
So advantage Jim McLaughlin, they come out early, they kind of get USC on their heels, much like Oregon did.
That's exactly what you want to do against a good USC team, even against a good Washington team. Both of these teams knew they had to come in and put the pressure on early, because if you don't do that, these are teams that just run away with it. So now USC has to counter that, come out with a little momentum early, and try and stop Amanda Gill and Krista Van Sant in the front row.
Haley Crone will serve for USC at the start of the second set as they switch sides with the jump serve, and right away a service error.
not how you want to start a set, definitely. But I think if USC can just come out and get a first ball kill here, a kill out of serve receive immediately, that will really help them. Katie Fuller on the outside can do that.
Jenna Orlandini with the serve for the Huskies. As the Huskies seem a little bit more lively, and that's Van Sant, but points going to go to USC.
A rare error from Krista Van Sant hitting out of bounds, but a good place for her to go down that line. The USC block isn't getting all the way to the antenna to close that block, so she can really use that.
Sarah Shaw, the 6'2 junior out of Austin, Texas.
Shaw making a very nice serve in that corner. She goes to Krista Van Sant's left. Van Sant thinks it's going out, but then goes for it at the very last moment.
Shaw played in every match last year, making 28 starts, significant playing time. And there is the big kill by Bricio.
Now that's what USC needs. They need Samantha Bricio to go up on the outside and just take those big swings. They need the momentum and they need the aggressive attitude back.
Already two-time Pac-12 Freshman of the Week is Bricio. She has opened a lot of eyes in the women's volleyball world. Bricio on the attack again, but Washington responds this time.
You talked to Coach Haley, and when we asked him about Samantha Bricio, he said, I didn't really know what I was getting. You don't know how good these freshmen are going to be, especially when they're from different countries. So he wasn't sure, and I know that he's very happy.
He recruits well internationally, you have told me, and it's paying dividends early. Munoz with the serve and the point. Washington now 3-3 here in the second set.
It's that movement on the ball that Kylan Munoz is so good at. She just hits it so flat.
It is like a knuckleball in baseball. Very little spin and very tough to respond. So another ace for Washington as the momentum and the emotion stays with the Huskies.
Well, she's also so exact with where she's placing it. She's going to the corner. She's going in the seam between two people. When you're picking spots that precisely, you have a much bigger advantage, and you're going to get the ace a lot more often than not.
Error Washington. Substitution, Nogueras comes back in, and Munoz will come out. Hagelin with the serve for USC, the junior out of Encinitas, California. Quick hit by Dunaway. Bricio on the side. Van Sant. Dunaway. And Dunaway and Van Sant, the dynamic duo up at the front.
Kelsey Dunaway has gotten so many touches on the ball, even if she's not given credit for a big stuff block. She's slowing down the USC offense when she's touching the ball that way.
This is Van Sant. And too much firepower from Sarah Shaw. Point USC. Katie Fuller will do the serving. We are knotted at 5 in the second set. Washington leads 1-0. And a service error. And you talked about how difficult it is to play here in Alaska Airlines Arena. I mean, you could just feel the tenseness of the USC team.
Oh yeah, there's so much energy and intensity here, and it makes for a very fun atmosphere, but I think the velocity that Washington gets from using this home court advantage is very tough to challenge.
Bricio, she just skies. You look at her verticality, and the athleticism with Bricio is outstanding.
When she gets up there, it's almost like she just keeps jumping. She elevates a little more, and she's swinging at the peak of her jump almost every time, and that allows her to get over that block.
Washington responds right back, so neither team able to get out to a big lead. The Huskies now lead 7-6.
It's a domino effect. It's always what happens. It plagues you. One team misses a serve, then you miss your serve, then they miss again. It's never fun.
Katie Beals with the jump serve. Shaw. and you always know when USC scores because it's quiet in here.
Yes. Which is also daunting. It kind of makes you feel like, oh, did I not do that well?
Washington Huskies coming off the win over defending NCAA champ UCLA on Wednesday. It was a hard-fought match, but raised a lot of eyebrows, and it comes on the heel of course, USC beating UCLA as these Pac-12 teams continue to pounce on one another. Erin Yoder with the serve for the women of Troy. And that's Gill with the dump. Gill again active at the net. Amanda Gill.
That's what being older does for you. She's so visually aware and prepared at the net. A lot of young players are not ready to touch the ball, come back down, and get up and touch again for a kill, and she's just ready all the time.
Big serve from Strickland. And that big serve just too hard to handle, and you just feel now Washington getting USC on their heels. It's the combo of Gill at the net and this Strickland serve. Shaw, cross court. Washington keeps it alive. That's Van Sant. Shaw with the quick dump. Van Sant. Good rally going here. USC again, very active. The save, but Washington too many hits, and USC comes up with the point.
If you notice the difference between the two teams right now, USC is almost playing to just stay alive, whereas Washington is getting the ball up. They're making nice passes, some nice sets. They're making good decisions. It's very different energies.
Controlling tempo versus reacting to tempo.
Exactly.
And there is a point, and controlling the tempo is Krista Van Sant.
USC needs their libero, Natalie Haglund, to step up now. She is the anchor of that defense, the reason that they've been good at passing. Now she needs to get them back to that spot. She's been very consistent.
All-America first team last year was Haglund, and a big part of the defense for USC. 10-9 now. USC wins that point. Sarah Shaw will do the serving for the women of Troy. Dunaway at the net with the kill.
Kelsey Dunaway, 2 kills now, but her presence up there is what's so big. Not only is it the blocking, but she's up, she's quick, and she goes right past Shilkovich up there, being available. That's what's the big difference for her.
Washington will serve. That's Munoz with the serve. Bricio trying to catch Washington now on their heels. Takes a little something off. Van Sant doesn't take anything off with the big kill. Krista Van Sant, the kills and points leader for Washington, is on the attack, and we've got a timeout.
That ball set a little inside, and Krista Van Sant just utilizes the fact that she's right past that block.
Well, the sophomore sensation is skying high. She's leading the Huskies in the dog pound. They lead in the second set, 12-9.
If you had $1 for every dollar car insurance companies say they'll save you by switching, you'd have like a ton of dollars. But how are they saving you those dollars? A lot of companies might answer or no comment. Then there's Esurance. Born online, raised by technology, and majors in efficiency. So whatever they save, you save. Hassle, time, paperwork, hair tearing out, and yes, especially dollars. Esurance. Insurance for the modern world. Click or call.
Saturday, it's a huge Pac-12 doubleheader at 3. UCLA storms into Boulder to take on Colorado. The Bruins are ready to rebound, and the Buffaloes want to make it 2 in a row. Then at 7, 18th-ranked Oregon State heads into the desert to face Arizona. The Beavers are on a roll, and the Wildcats want to claw their way back into the top 25. Pre-game coverage begins at 2, Saturday only on Pac-12 networks.
Washington leading 12-9 in the second set. Krista Van Sant, the sophomore, already 7 kills.
an off set, but gosh, Krista Van Sant, she wows me. Every time she goes up to hit, she sees that that block is out. She comes inside and takes a really big swing right past them. That's where USC has to watch her feet, where she plants, and then they need to move their feet around so that they can block her. They're just completely missing her at this point.
You know, Van Sant seems to have great court vision. Like, she anticipates very well, which is the product of a lot of homework.
Oh, definitely. She does have that court awareness, but I also have to give credit to both of her setters because they're making the right decisions and setting her up very well.
USC comes out of the timeout, and they get the point. So 12-10 now in the second set. Washington took the first set. They lead in the second set, 12-10.
Biggest rotation for USC in the front row, Olgard, Brizio, and Fuller.
Hagelin with the serve, Van Sant. And point for Washington. Looked like a net error for USC. Van Sant with the serve, and there is an unforced error. Stops some momentum for Washington, 13-11.
It's a battle for first to 15 points now. USC able to come back into this if they take advantage of having the serve, but Washington's so good at siding out and getting that kill on the first serve.
Fuller, unforced error. So both Van Sant and Fuller, unforced error. Washington with the 3-point lead, and you could see Mick Haley just kind of frustrated that the youth on his team, he's got 7 underclassmen, trying to get the ship righted. Dunaway with the serve for Washington. Brizio. And a point USC. Everything she touches is golden.
Well, and she's just over that block. It's very difficult as a team to stop someone that's hitting over your block. You have to adjust in the back row by bringing someone in up on that line and making sure they're ready for that big hit cross court.
Brizio will now do the serving. Gill. Washington with the double block up front. USC tries a quick hit. Point Washington. Cassie Strickland on the attack from the side.
Cassie Strickland taking the big swings, even though USC adjusted and had brought their backup setter, Emily Young, in to block on that right side because she's taller, but it doesn't even work. She's able to go up off those hands. That's a huge advantage for Washington when they use the tool.
You look at Strickland, it is amazing. She is just a freshman out of Huntington Beach, California. So talented for Jim McLaughlin. And right back answering is USC. That is who else? Samantha Brizio.
And now Samantha Brizio in the back row with Katie Fuller. This is where Haley Crone can really use the back row attack, get some one-on-ones with them. If Washington's not going to double down on the back row attack, you've got to go to that.
Yoder with the serve for USC. They trail by 2, and Van Sant puts it away with the kill.
That one going a little long. I think that was about 6 inches long. It looks really good, though.
So check that point, USC. It's now a 1-point set, and Yoder will keep serve. Long service error for USC. So after Van Sant goes long, Yoder responds with the service error. 16-14, Washington.
And that's 8 service errors for USC in this match so far.
Strickland with the big serve. And that ball is in. Alicia Ogums getting in on the action for the women of Troy.
Alicia Ogums saw a lot of playing time earlier in the season, and she's pretty solid, just very young as a freshman this year.
Out of Winnipeg, Manitoba, the first scholarship player to play volleyball at USC is Ogums. Point USC. We are tied at 16 in this second set. Mick Haley, Jim McLaughlin, 2 of the brain trusts in women's volleyball. and they both are coaching in the Pac-12. Blocked, and that is Gill, and that is Van Sant, and that is a brick wall.
And that is exactly what they did to UCLA 5 sets in a row on Wednesday night. That's what USC has to be very careful of, is not running it so high back there so that they have so much time to get there.
Service error for Washington. And even with that win against UCLA, Jim McLaughlin says we have so much we could do better. We could improve in so many different ways. And he was picking apart more digs, less service errors. He wanted more from his athletes.
That's those standards and expectations we talked about earlier.
Munoz for the University of Washington goes long. USC point. They now have a 1-point lead in the second set. Van Sant. You're talking about Hagelin getting in on it. Bricio. And quickly, Bricio. Anticipation. Great instincts.
Such good instincts for a freshman. You really just don't see that out of the young players, because when you're a young player, you're just like, I just got to do my thing, put the ball in the court, don't make an error, and she is so good at going up and down and being ready.
Samantha Bricio, the 6'2" freshman out of Guadalajara, Mexico, second on the team in kills, and she is active today.
Well, you see her go up, and it's just that elevation, and then she has a very quick arm swing. She doesn't take a very fast approach. It's a little slower. 1, 2, 3 steps into it, and then rips the ball.
Had a double-double against USD earlier this season with 13 kills and 11 digs. USD, of course, a very fine team, but so are teams in the Pac-12. It seems when you look at the rankings, there's at least half of the Pac-12 in the top 20. And 2 of these teams, of course, are perennial fixtures in that top 10. And we look at the top 10. You saw Oregon, you're seeing USC, UCLA, the defending national champ, Washington, and it goes on.
It goes on, and you know, you talk about it earlier with these coaches having the expectations and wanting to get better every night. Every night is a battle in this conference. You don't get a night off. You don't get a night to celebrate a big win, you know, an SC beating a UCLA or a Washington beating a UCLA. It's about coming out, getting better, eliminating those errors, and it's fun and it's a battle, and that's what this conference is about.
All 12 Pac-12 teams play a double round robin schedule. That means they play at home and away for a total of 22 conference matches, and that is a lot of talent that you've got to face every night if you play in the Pac-12. USC on the serve, but Washington on the answer, and Van Sant is going on the attack again.
That's the second time we've seen Krista Van Sant use that inside set to her advantage. As she goes out, it's not pushed all the way. USC doesn't adjust correct around her shoulder, and she's able to hit right past them, this time down the line.
Didn't even consider Washington coming out of Redlands East Valley High School with a 3.8 average. In fact, Van Sant was looking to go to Stanford, or she was even considering Penn State. But Jim McLaughlin went to her home, had a game plan for her, and said, I have a vision for you of how much you can grow as a Husky. And she was sold.
There's very few coaches, I think, that teach the game as well as Jim McLaughlin does, and I think this is a great place to grow as a player.
USC point, Jim McLaughlin has so many euphemisms and so many different ways to approach the game. He talks about big rocks, the overall picture, little rocks, the daily improvements that each player can undertake to get better. Van Sant. Washington trying to go on the attack, and they do. Washington now trails by just 2, 21-19.
This is a great rotation for Washington. When Krista Van Sant is serving, they score a lot of points, but the same thing goes for USC with Alexis Olgard in the middle now and Samantha Bricio on the outside.
Van Sant does get the serve, and USC, it is tipped by Washington, gets the point. And that was Fuller on the attack. So it's like Fuller and Van Zandt are answering one another. 22-19 for USC, which is trying to take its first set. Point, Washington. Kaylee Nelson for Washington.
Kaylee Nelson has been huge for Washington. When she's swinging on that right side, she's taking the pressure off of everyone else, specifically Krista Van Zandt, but she's also taking a blocker with her. She is definitely a threat up there, so the block has to go with her, which opens up Krista Van Zandt, hitting that big high pipe out of the middle back.
Kelsey Dunaway with the serve for Washington, and Washington clawing its way back, just like they did against UCLA. We are in Seattle, Washington for a showdown between two top 5 volleyball teams. Number 3 USC taking on number 5 Washington. Tracy Warren along with Kelly Tennant. Washington taking the first set. USC leading in the second set, 22-21. USC having a very difficult schedule, but that's kind of the way it goes in the Pac-12.
Yes. No one has it easy around here. Heading over to Washington State on Sunday and taking on the Arizonas, going up to Northern California, and then Utah, a program that is just continuing to get better. They don't have it easy at all.
And Washington is going on the road for 4 matches, so they've got to take advantage of this home court right now.
This is where they're so good, and I am so interested to see how they do at Oregon. That's going to be a great matchup. I think that these two teams match up well in terms of that quick offense and the way they're running things with their outsides.
You commented, and of course, a lot of Pac-12 network coverage of the volleyball, which is the best in the nation, arguably, in the Pac-12. But you talked about the quick offense with Mick Haley today in practice, and you said, okay, tell me a little bit about that, and tell me a little bit about some of the nuances that you're seeing. But he kind of said, you know, I do what I'm used to doing. I'm not going to bite into that quick offense type philosophy.
Yeah, Coach Haley does what he does, and he has a philosophy for what works, and that worked with those 2 back-to-back national championships that he had with April Ross and Kay Albertine, and he continues to use that with the players that come in to teach them what kind of offense he wants to run.
We'll see if it still works now. Dunaway with the serve, but USC, and that's Bricio from the corner. 23-21 now for USC out of the timeout. What kind of adjustments is Mick Haley doing to kind of close the second set for the women of Troy?
It's really about just keeping the ball in play and making better digs and passes so that they have more opportunities.
Washington. Back row attack, but it is long. 23-22.
Washington is making Katie Fuller for USC very uncomfortable on the right side. She's not going up and using a fluid motion to hit. She's kind of anchoring it, dropping that elbow, and that I have to give credit to the Washington block.
Katie Beals will do the serving for the Huskies. Trying to tie this up, blocked, and they check that. They're going to give the point to USC, so 24-22, USC can win it on this serve. Erin Yoder will serve for the women of Troy, trying to take the second set. Jump serve for Yoder, and that's out. Service error. Crucial for the women of Troy.
Those are the types of errors you have to eliminate. As you move on in conference play and nationally, the top teams are not going to be making those errors and very pressure moments.
Gabby Parker with the jump serve for Washington. And they're going to give it to Washington. So we are knotted at 24. And of course you have to win by 2, and Mick Haley sees it slipping out of his fingertips. Gabby Parker for Washington. Washington attacks from the right side successfully. And Washington's got the momentum. Kylan Munoz
Not a great up, but then a better of the ball by the setter, and then going back for that hit, keeping it in play.
Parker trying to put it away. Can Washington take the second set? USC, that's Shaw. Washington keeping it in play, Van Sant. Shaw, and Washington comes back from behind to take the second set, 26-24. An electric crowd in Washington.
Washington moving very well again with that block, and Coach Haley talked to us about the hands of Amanda Gill. Her feet were not all the way there, but she presses over, and she's so tall and such a presence.
So Washington takes that second set. They lead 2-0. With us now, Washington Huskies head coach Jim McLaughlin. Jim, what's your assessment so far?
Well, we were in a nice battle, and we were siding out at a real nice level, over 70%, and then we gave them a couple points, just, Nats here and then 2 missed serves, and it made it a little tougher on us. But I like our side-out rhythm. We just got to convert a little bit better.
Coach, you're making a few too many errors with your hitting 203 right now. How do you improve that?
Well, we got to just be patient. We got to stay behind the ball, and the setters also have to keep our hitters in rhythm, and they're just a little tentative and setting the ball too high, and it takes them out of rhythm.
All right, Jim, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Washington leading 2-0 behind Jim McLaughlin, and the emotional high for the Huskies is at an all-time high here in Washington. We are going to take a break. Washington leading 2-0.
Here's some rules for your backyard. Rule number 1, airsoft in the backyard? What a mess. Rule number 2, paintball? Even worse. Rule number 3, use Blaster Pro Auto Fire or Blaster Pro Pump Action. Rule number 4, come well equipped, so you can shoot like a sniper or pummel them until they tap out. Reload and pummel them again. And again. Rule number 5, and this one is important, drink lots of lemonade.
Lemonade, anyone?
Rule number 6, chicks dig in. Blaster Pro.
Advertise your business using the most advanced marketing tools to more efficiently reach the specific consumers you need. Comcast Spotlight can increase your local advertising effectiveness on cable TV, online, and using unique interactive commercials that your customers can't miss. Get your ad in front of more of the right eyeballs than ever before. To advertise your business in the Seattle area using Comcast Spotlight's advanced marketing technologies, visit ComcastSpotlight.com/Seattle.
Time out there, buddy.
Brian Urlacher?
That's me, here to defend you from DirecTV's so-called big deal. DirecTV raises your bill 100% after a year, and they lock you into a 2-year contract that could cost you over $2,500.
I can't afford that.
That's why your best play is Xfinity. The biggest plays on Sunday, live. The best of college football, and you can take the action wherever you go.
Hey, Brian.
No pixie dust, just pigskin. Yeah! Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Call today.
Saturday, it's a huge Pac-12 doubleheader at 3. UCLA storms into Boulder to take on Colorado. The Bruins are ready to rebound, and the Buffaloes want to make it 2 in a row. Then at 7, 18th-ranked Oregon State heads into the desert to face Arizona. The Beavers are on a roll, and the Wildcats want to claw their way back into the top 25. Pre-game coverage begins at 2, Saturday only on Pac-12 Networks.
You're watching Pac-12 Network.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome inside our San Francisco studios. I'm Ashley Adamson with your Pac-12 Intermission Report. We'll get you back out to your match in just a moment. But first, we want to remind everybody at home what we've got cooking tonight on the Pac-12 Network. Great second half of our volleyball doubleheader tonight as number 2 Oregon hosts Utah at the Matthew Knight Arena. Join Paul Sunderland and Kevin Wong at 8 p.m. this evening on all the Pac-12 networks. Checking out some football now. Week 5 of the college football season kicking off last night. Keith Price and the Huskies looking to upset Stanford. Picked this one up in the third quarter. Stanford up 13-3. The Huskies decide to go for it on 4th and 1, and that is the right call. Bishop Sankey goes 61 yards to the end zone for the touchdown. Washington down 13-10 heading into the fourth quarter. Later in the fourth quarter, same score. Price with a quick pass out to Kason Williams. Williams sheds a tackle, drags Ed Reynolds into the end zone for the score. And how about it? The Huskies upset the Cardinals 17-13. Chase Thomas can't believe it, and the Husky fans were celebrating. We're gearing up for another great Saturday of Pac-12 football. Our Week 5 pregame show with Mike Yam, Rick Neuheisel, Curtis Conway, and Jeremy Bloom begins at 2 p.m. tomorrow. It's a 3 o'clock kick between UCLA and CU, followed by Oregon State and Arizona in the nightcap. We'll, of course, wrap everything up for you with our State Farm postgame report immediately following that game. And that does it for us here in the studio. Thank you so much for watching the Pac-12 Intermission Report. We'll send you back out live to your match right after this quick break. Have a great night, everybody.
It gives you a tremendous sense of pride to own your own business.
We sell ourselves, we sell our name, we sell our image. We want that image to stick.
I'm always introducing myself. I'm always handing out cards.
Vistaprint allows business owners to more effectively and affordably promote their business.
The fact that we use Vistaprint to put our name out in the community in everything that we do just goes to show the level of confidence that we have in Vistaprint.
The easy-to-use tools and templates at Vistaprint.com make it simple to look professional and coordinate your marketing across everything from business cards to websites to postcards and more. See how easy with 250 of our most popular cards. Now new, improved, and still only $10.
250 cards, you can leave a lot of impressions with that.
I have about 20 to 50 business cards on me at any time.
Visit Vistaprint.com, and as an introductory offer, we'll cover the shipping for free.
I'm not sure there is much else you can do for $10 from a marketing standpoint.
Vistaprint.com.
Your customers have so many media options. Are you advertising in the right place? Don't let the choices overwhelm you. Make them work for you. Advertise your business in the most popular programs on TV right here in your local area. We'll work together to target the networks and shows your customers are watching so they see your commercial and you see results. Contact us today to create effective advertising that cuts through the media clutter. Visit ComcastSpotlight.com/Seattle.
Important medical alert for women with mesh patch implants. If you or a loved one had a surgery for pelvic organ prolapse or urinary leakage where a mesh patch was used and have experienced urinary problems, vaginal pain, pelvic pain, difficulty during sex, and more, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation.
Call 1-800-390-9528.
Time is limited to file a claim. Act now. The call and consultation are free.
Call 1-800-390-9528.
Saturday, it's a huge Pac-12 doubleheader at 3. UCLA storms into Boulder to take on Colorado. The Bruins are ready to rebound, and the Buffaloes want to make it 2 in a row. Then at 7, 18th-ranked Oregon State heads into the desert to face Arizona. The Beavers are on a roll, and the Wildcats want to claw their way back into the top 25. Pre-game coverage begins at 2, Saturday only on Pac-12 networks.
Welcome back to Washington. We are ready to start the third set. We have with us now USC head coach Mick Haley. Mick, for you, your team down on its heels, what's your assessment coming out in the early going?
Well, we're losing the serving and passing game. We win the serving and passing game, and we're in great shape. We've out-hit them, made a few more errors than I would like. Their errors are down. That's one of the reasons they stay in both games and have a chance to win at the end. I think our selections aren't very good, so we have to do a little bit better with that. But all in all, there's no reason why we can't get back in this match and win. We just have to play.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much. Good luck.
All right.
So, number 3 USC on its heels against number 5 Washington. And the amazing thing, USC has so much more in the tank. You're kind of just waiting for them to show themselves.
Definitely. I think it's just about improving upon what you're doing. If it's a bad pass, better the ball, make a better set, give yourself an opportunity. Washington's doing a really good job of that right now. USC not, and they need to improve, like he said, on their serve and pass. Keep the ball in the court when you're serving and just make a better pass.
Well, first two sets highlights, and of course Washington coming out with who we expected to come out, and that's Van Sant.
Krista Van Sant, excellent from start to finish here. Up against that big block in front of her. She's utilizing the sets inside the block to take advantage. She's being very smart with what she's doing. USC continues to come over and over trying to challenge, but then you see Amanda Gill so big at the net for Washington, just like both Washington and SC expected out of her tonight.
After two sets, the stats look like this, and again, USC on the upper end on many of these, but of course errors, as Coach had alluded to, is just killing them.
Well, I think errors is huge, but you also have to look at what's not up here is the blocks. Washington has 9 blocks, USC only has 2. If you want to have a shot in this match to stop someone like Krista Van Sant for Washington, you've got to put up a better block. USC needs to work harder up at the net.
Washington number 4 in the Pac-12 in blocks, so they are very good at the net. USC, Mick Haley trying to coach his youth, who they had lost a lot last year. They were preseason number 3 in the Pac-12 coaches poll. Washington was preseason number 5. Cassie Strickland set the serve for the University of Washington. Gill and Van Sant at the net for Washington. Strickland with that big booming serve. And Washington with the points.
The important thing for USC is to not get that ball so close on the net. A good pass for any team is up in the middle of the court around that 10-foot line. That lets you use all of your offensive weapons, and it keeps you out of that net.
Mick Haley thought that was USC's point to have. Back set, back row attack, and USC using Bricio from the back row.
Brizio solid, front row, back row. She's taking those good swings, but even more so, it's just her choices that she's making when she swings past that block.
USC with the serve now. There is Gill working the net. The set Bricio now from the left side. Van Sant. And USC keeps it alive. Van Sant again. Krista Van Sant, last year's Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, just relentless.
If you notice, Washington has plenty of time to hit the ball, transition, come off the net, and set up perfectly to be able to run the next play. They're really using a great offense and great footwork to be able to do that.
Yeah, you really feel Washington in sync. And maybe that's part of this home court. Van Sant. They set up Bricio again. Great dig by Washington. It was Orlandini, but that long point USC.
Washington has been able to capitalize on all of the USC errors. So now USC has to flip the switch and capitalize on those Washington errors, whether it's hit out of bounds or they're serving out of bounds. Whatever it is, you have to use it.
Hagelins will do the serving for USC. And a quick dump and a good read by Kelsey Dunaway.
Kelsey Dunaway is so smart as a middle because she knows this is not the perfect set, but she goes and she almost just grabs it and sweeps it to the side. It keeps it in play, but it's also a great spot.
A senior middle out of Bainbridge Island, Washington. Munoz with the serve, and there is the ace for Washington, who takes a 4-2 lead in the third set.
You see Natalie Hagelin now talking to Katie Fuller in that back row about what they need to do against this serve. If it's going in that seam, I say Natalie Hagelin really needs to take that. She's the libero, she's the best passer.
The junior out of Encinitas, California. That goes long. Service error, Washington, point USC. So let's see if the women of Troy can get some of the momentum back. Katie Fuller, the senior out of La Costa Canyon High School. Van Sant will serve for Washington. We mentioned she had her 4th double-double in the big win against defending national champ UCLA. And Washington can't keep it alive, but some great effort, and that's what you like to see from Jenna Orlandini, the libero.
Well, it's the effort and the energy and that consistency out of liberos that you want to see, and she really brings that.
Bricio with the big serve for USC. Dunaway trying to do the dump, and it gets USC enough on their heels that Washington gets the point. They lead 6-4 in the third set. Dog Pack on their feet behind the Huskies. They love their women's volleyball. Kelsey Dunaway now with the jump serve. And it's a service error, 6-5.
Erin Yoder coming in now to serve for Alexis Olgard, and it's key for Yoder to keep this ball in. They need her to get on a run. She's a very good server for USC, just pretty off tonight.
The senior out of San Clemente, California is Yoder, but it doesn't work as Gill and company, Amanda Gill.
It's a sweet spot for Amanda Gill. She's not able to get all the way around that on that slide. She's going off of 1 foot, so she just takes a little off, and that's a good spot because most defenses, including USC, don't have someone sitting inside the 10-foot line.
Beals with the serve for Washington, and a big, big swing by Sarah Shaw.
Sarah Shaw is really good at finding the seams and those corners in the back. When she gets the right set, she goes up, and she's very good at seeing everything in front of her.
She says pressure situations are her favorite. They called her Sassy at Westlake High School because she just loved pressure. And she had a little swagger to her. Big net play by Cassie Strickland.
May I add, Cassie Strickland is only 5'8". So when she's going up to block, she is clearly doing a good job of pressing and holding as long as she can in the air.
The freshman out of Huntington Beach, California, is Strickland. They try and move the ball around, does USC. Van Sant responding. Bricio telling her team to get a beat on it, but they can't point Washington.
If you saw Van Sant on that one, it did not look like she was going down the line. She was clearly facing cross court, and at the end, she turned her entire body to turn that down the line. That's tough for the block to adjust to because you're lining up cross court.
So USC, after losing a 3-set match to Oregon, finds itself down 2-0 and trailing 9-7 in the third set at Washington. Sarah Shaw will do the serving for USC. Van Sant with the spike. USC great on the defensive ends. And too much firepower on the front line for Washington.
You see USC's libero Natalie Hagelin getting upset with her teammates. It's the effort that you want to see improved. If you get that ball up, someone has to be going for that. Shot goes, but there needs to be more communication there.
Orlandini with the serve. Bricio. Bricio again for USC. And that is long, point USC.
Washington has so much time to get over there and block that big outside hit. It's a much higher and slower offense that USC runs as compared to Washington. So Washington's getting over very quickly and closing that block up.
Hagelin on the serve, Dunaway. And Washington an error there, so it's now a 10-9 game here in the third set. 12 digs already for Natalie Hagelin. First team All-American last year for USC. Dunaway with the dump.
I think the best middle blockers are the ones that make the bad set better and keep it in play. So if you're not getting a perfect set, young players have a tendency to throw it around. They try and whack it and it goes out of bounds. Dunaway is doing such a good job of keeping it in play and adjusting to what she's getting.
Munoz with the serve. Katie Fuller playing the net, and that Washington just can't keep it alive. So USC will get the point. And Fuller, the senior, highly talented out of La Costa Canyon High School. Dunaway, net play has been outstanding for Dunaway tonight.
When she keeps finding the open spots or whoever is on their heels. Katie Fuller was totally on her heels on defense there, and she sees that and pushes it to her. It's just so smart.
Are you surprised we're not seeing more out of Fuller, who was the second leading scorer behind Jupiter last year for USC?
Not necessarily, because the way Washington was able to contain Rachel Kidder for UCLA, they're doing the same thing to Fuller, and they're forcing everyone to work harder. So I'm not surprised that she has as many errors as she does and is hitting in the block. That was the goal.
USC keeping it alive. Fuller with the big swing, so just on cue, Fuller stepping up.
When you heard Coach Haley talking about decisions, and when he says decisions, that means the decisions of his setter, Haley Crone. She needs to set up Katie Fuller better for those one-on-one situations.
Bricio with the serve. And Washington with the attack. And of course, that's Van Zandt in the middle of things. USC ran out to a 13-0 match. They basically were just running, and they said, Mick Haley said, hey, we thought we were good until we ran into Oregon. We then kind of had a gut check, and it's all about how we respond here to Washington. And slowly USC is staying toe-to-toe, but Washington now with the 2-point third set lead.
Well, we talked about that as the Pac-12 season was just beginning. So many of the announcers saying, have these teams been tested in their preseasons? And I think now you're seeing who's been tested and who hasn't, and who was prepared to come into this and play at the top level.
They took the point away from Washington. They gave it to USC. We're knotted at 13 in the third set. Tracy Warren along with Kelly Tennant. We're in Seattle, Washington for a battle between 3 USC and 5 Washington. Good blocking at the net by USC's Sarah Shaw. 14-13 now for the women of Troy, who trail 2-0. Jim McLaughlin has gone to the Cleveland Browns coaching training camp and spoken with coaches on better ways to communicate athletics. How do you communicate movement? Football versus volleyball. He says he learned a lot.
Well, I think that's so great. These coaches go to other coaches that are successful and they know what's going on, and it's important to share those things.
USC leading Washington in the third set, 15-13. They trail 2-0.
We asked over 3,000 doctors to review 5-Hour Energy, and what they said is amazing. Over 73% who reviewed 5-Hour Energy said they would recommend a low-calorie energy supplement to their healthy patients who use energy supplements. 73%. 5-Hour Energy has 4 calories and is used over 9 million times a week. Is 5-Hour Energy right for you? Ask your doctor. We already asked 3,000.
You're watching Pac-12 Networks.
Jim McLaughlin's Washington Huskies lead 2-0, but they trail in the third set 15-13. They are one of 3 undefeated teams in Division I. Oregon at 11-0, BYU at 15-0. Of course, Washington at 12-0. USC with the serve. This is Erin Yoder with the jump serve. Van Zandt in the back court. Strickland. They set up Shaw. Point. They're going to give it to Washington on some coaching from the dog pack.
That was a beautiful block. They wait, and swing. And again, Amanda Gill just pressing those arms over. However, if Sarah Shaw had not been bent over right there and had been hit in the back, that ball would have gone out of bounds. Washington has to face their hands to the middle of the court.
Gill again playing ferociously at the net. The 6'6" presence, and that point will go to Washington. So Washington now 15-15. Gill, of course, missed the 2011 season due to a knee injury that required surgery right before the start of the season. It was one that left her in a knee brace for 3.5 months. And she is moving well in tonight's match. Bricio from the back row, Gill from the front row, and Gill wins that battle.
Well, and I have to say, I saw Amanda Gill when Washington played Washington State, and she looked like she was limping a little bit. She wasn't moving very well. She looks even stronger tonight, and she also just looks comfortable again. It's hard to not play for a long time and all of a sudden just be thrown in and say, hey, figure it out, and she is doing such a good job.
Washington's team's physician broke Gill's femur, fused it with a bone, taken from her hip, and reset it for a healthier bone for her knee. And it has made a world of difference, although she went through a lot of nights crying to her dad, Randy, who encouraged her daily, and it's paying off.
I can't imagine what that even feels like, let alone trying to recover and work back and come back. I give her so much credit for being so mentally strong, and it's almost miraculous that she's made it back, and they're even fighting for a 6th year for her. So I'll be interested to see how that goes.
They are petitioning the NCAA. Coming up tonight, we've got more great battles. On the Pac-12 Network, women's volleyball, Utah takes on number 2 Oregon Ducks. That's coming up tonight at 8 p.m. on the Pac-12. And Utah Utes, of course, they've got Morgan O'Dale, who's averaging just over 4 kills % in the first week of conference play. And Oregon, Lauren Plum, National Player of the Week. And why not? Oregon has ascended to number 2. And it'll be a good one right on the heels of our Washington USC matchup. Lorenzo Romar, the men's head basketball coach, in the house to support Jim McLaughlin and company.
I love it when the coaches go to each other's games. They have so much fun. They have such respect for the different sports because everything's so different. The athletes have to perform so differently.
Washington leading 17-15 in this third set. They will serve. Katie Beals will do the serving for Washington. And a quick attack tried by USC, Alicia Ogums, but Washington with the point.
I like Haley Crone going to the middle, coming out of a timeout, but Alicia Ogums very young. Maybe not in this moment you set her.
The pressure is high for USC, trying to respond to Washington right now, who leads 18-15. That's Strickland, but USC cannot handle it. Cassie Strickland is on fire.
This is the biggest issue when you've been blocked so many times. Washington with 11 blocks, USC with 3. Now USC is trying to go around the block, so they're roll shotting and they're hitting out of bounds. You can't do that.
That will end a Washington 6-0 run. It is now 19-16 in the third set. Haley Crone will serve for the women of Troy. The big jump serve. There were 3 weapons at the net. Strickland, Gill, and in the back, you saw her, Kristen Van Zandt. And here, it was Strickland.
Cassie Strickland just breathes so much life into this Washington offense, and I've said it time and time again, she's taking so much pressure off Kristen Van Zandt, and that's just huge for them.
Strickland again with the big serve. And that point is going to go to USC courtesy of Katie Fuller.
Smart move by Fuller. She sees those hands, they're a little high, they're not pressed over the net on that Washington block, so she hits low, knowing she can get inside.
Honorable mention in the Pac-12 last year was Katie Fuller, who this year is a senior. Serving error USC, 21-17, so Washington is 4 points away from sweeping number 3 USC on their home court. Orlandini with the serve. Ogum's playing the net for USC. They cannot block it, and it's point Washington.
And a great dig by Cassie Strickland on that play. She's in the right spot, and she does a great job of getting under to pop it up. That's the type of digs that you need.
Nick Haley calls timeout for USC. Kelly, what has to happen for the women of Troy to stop the bleeding?
It's really just the mental focus on the little things. USC's not doing anything terrible. It's just those unforced errors that he talked about. Those are the worst things that you could possibly have, and USC just has too many of them. You have to go back to the basics of pass, set, hit volleyball.
Yeah, Mick did tell us it is our mental approach, it is our bounce back, and it is how we react out of the gate. Well, Washington came out strong out of the gate. They won the first 2 sets, 25-23, 26-24. The mental, well, we've said it. We've seen lapses from USC. And how they respond to Oregon, well, is still feeling like, okay, wait, you got to get your mojo back, USC, anytime.
Definitely. I think that USC, too, is young. Their big outside hitter is a freshman. Their big setter is a sophomore. When you put that kind of pressure on these young players, you're definitely going to struggle. That's just part of the game. Any coach in any sport will tell you that. So I think they're feeling those little ups and downs from that right now.
What does Washington need to do to close this out?
Not make unforced errors. When you're at 22, you keep the ball in play and you stay tight up at the net. You continue with those blocks. Don't do anything out of the ordinary. They just need to stick with what's been working.
Jenna Orlandini, the junior out of La Cañada, California. She is the digs leader. She had 22 in the win against UCLA. She will do the serving for the University of Washington. And let's see how USC responds. They respond with Ogums, and they're going to give the point to USC.
A slight touch up at that block on Washington. And now you have Natalie Haglund back to serve. Katie Fuller, Olgard, and Brizio in the front row. This is where they can really do some damage.
Unforced error by USC. Washington 2 points away from sweeping number 3 USC, a team that went to the Final Four last year. Kylan Munoz with the serve for Washington. A big jump serve, but that is long, and as you said, Kelly, they cannot afford to make mistakes here in the stretch.
No serving errors right now. Most teams will be in practices and you play these games where you're both at 22 and you have to win, but you can't make any unforced errors. That's the only way you can win, and that's how you practice for these situations.
Munoz out, Nogueras in for Washington. Katie Fuller will do the serving for USC. Big cross-court hit by Kaylee Nelson. And we've got match point for Washington.
Great push outside on that quick set. I love that decision.
Krista Van Sant will do the serving for Washington. USC, Brizio. Van Sant keeps it alive.
A little too much excitement over there for Washington on that last one. Kaylee Nelson just working a little too hard.
USC with the serve, Brizio, 24-20, Dunaway. And great net play and good recognition by USC's Alexis Olgard.
She was ready that time. She was prepared, and that was huge. She needs to be that force at the net. When you're that big middle blocker, your job is to get those touches and those blocks.
So we've got a timeout. Washington facing match point in the third set, leading 24-21. You see, like Jim McLaughlin kind of gave a stare to his team and said, what is wrong? Let's close this out and let's go home.
I have to say, that's probably one of the most frustrating things is to get on this run and to be doing so well, and then all of a sudden you just stop and you look like deer in the headlights and you start making all these errors. Just finish. You don't have to play anymore and exert any more energy.
You said it from the get-go. Washington came out with a kind of killer mentality. They looked like they were in control of the tempo from the early going. USC reacted. They've just got to stick what got them here.
Exactly. You have to stay with the control mentality, having the momentum. You can't underestimate how much of a momentum game volleyball is.
It is match point. Washington leading 24-21. The Dog Pack is on their feet. They have been for most of this match. With number 3 USC Women of Troy, who had lost only one match against number 2 Oregon coming into tonight. And were favored as the number 3 find themselves on the ropes to number 5 Washington. Bricio will do the serving for USC. Samantha Bricio. Washington. Van Sant from the back row. Shaw. USC continuing to keep it alive. Fuller, that is long, and Washington sweeps USC, winning the third set 25-21. Krista Van Sant and company, we're on a mission. Mission accomplished.
Washington just so smart with the choices that they're making. You see those seams and those openings in that USC block, and then USC forcing those sets, looking uncomfortable, but I have to give that credit to Washington for putting that pressure on.
Well, we've been impressed with Krista Van Sant. We've been impressed with Amanda Gill, but really a total team effort for Washington. They played great offense, they played great defense, and they took control from the early going.
That's exactly what it is. When you start out strong with the control and you keep it, there were only a few lulls for Washington. They kept those errors low, which is their MO. You have no way to be challenged.
We've got a very happy Washington Husky with us, Amanda Gill. Amanda, how's it feel to sweep USC on your home court?
Amazing feeling. I'm so proud of my team. We came out here and we handled it and we got it done.
Amanda, your team's so strong with the blocking tonight. How is that setting you apart in the Pac-12 now?
It's a great part of our game. You know, we work on it each week in practice, and it's one of our strengths, and as long as we get over and low, we'll get them each time.
Amanda, talk to us a little bit about your approach at the net.
My approach at the net, I sit there and I talk to both sides of my players, tell them our strategy, what we're doing, and I tell them to get low and over, and then we watch the set and get our hands over.
Okay, Amanda, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations and good luck on the rest of the season.
Thank you so much.
Kelly, a big win for Washington. Just sweeping USC speaks volumes in Pac-12 play.
It does. Coming off a 5-set win over UCLA on Wednesday and then coming out tonight shows how strong and consistent they can be, and no one can stop them until they stop themselves, really.
Look out for the Dogs. They mean some business as they go on the road. We will see what happens as the Pac-12 season unfolds in volleyball. For Kelly Tennant, I am Tracy Warren saying so long from Washington as Washington upsets USC 3-0 in the sweep. So long from Seattle, Washington.
When the kids are all together, and especially if they have friends around, you gotta embarrass them a little bit. I do want to dance in front of my kids because I'm that bad. They all turn red. I don't care. We're all having fun together. And so therefore I want to, break out the moves. When I start dancing, they kind of turn their heads because, I get the good beat. That's as good as it gets right there. My name is John Elway, and I'm definitely comfortable in my own skin.
Catch Game 2 Sunday, September 30th at 6 p.m. Playoff tickets on sale now at stormbasketball.com.
Time out there, buddy.
Brian Urlacher?
That's me, here to defend you from DirecTV's so-called big deal. DirecTV raises your bill 100% after a year, and they lock you into a 2-year contract that could cost you over $2,500 bucks.
I can't afford that.
That's why your best play is Xfinity. The biggest plays on Sunday, live. The best of college football, and you can take the action wherever you go.
Hey, Brian.
No pixie dust, just pigskin. Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Call today.
Rules for your backyard. Rule number 1, airsoft in the backyard? What a mess. Rule number 2, paintball? Even worse. Rule number 3, use Blaster Pro auto fire or Blaster Pro pump action. Rule number 4, come well equipped so you can shoot like a sniper or pummel them until they tap out. Reload and pummel them again. And again. Rule number 5, and this one is important, drink lots of lemonade.
Lemonade, anyone?
Rule number 6, chicks dig it. Blaster Pro.